Attorney of Shaug, which is not what your dirty mind was thinking when you saw that title. They play a very dissection-esque melodic blast.
Following his departure from bestial
Warlust.
Following his departure. All right, how about the Acura Spew?
This is the Snaggletooth Extreme Metal Podcast.
I tell you, people are so judgy.
Are they?
Yeah. I walked out on the front porch to straighten the cushions on the furniture, and I got a weird look.
Because of the blue hair.
I was like, sure, I got blue hair. Doesn't make me a bad person.
Why don't you fire that out? I think they're jealous that we have a major award.
Oh, yes, we have definitely acquired a major award, if not one major award. Look at that. It's very lovely. Very leggy leg. This doesn't make all the neighbors jealous. I don't know what will.
Yeah, blue hair. You got a major award. You got zombie apocalypse behind us. $6.66 a month. We need it. I'll tell you what.
Running this show has become quite an expense.
It has indeed. Yes. But we did get to go to a hell of a great Exhumed show last week. And we could have gotten him for free. We just didn't think of it. But not that we mind.
It's okay.
No.
We also enjoy supporting artists.
We do.
Yeah, great.
Usually there's at least one band that I'm like, I'm gonna go take a piss. But this time now, each band built on the next one. It started with Castrator, the all-female death metal band.
You know, and they were the first ones to take the stage. And I always feel like in a small venue like that, you know, they're trying to kind of gather their game face, and there's no curtain. There's no... They basically, to gather themselves, they had to just turn their back on the crowd.
They kind of did like a little circle of, let's fucking do this kind of thing. It was really cool.
And they were setting up their own equipment, I noticed. And
singer was great. Oh my God.
They started.
All 75 pounds of her just grunting out the best stuff. Great.
Yeah, and the drummer was amazing. Guitar was amazing. I mean, they bled off with it.
Excellent. And then behind them was SQL Grind, which was my favorite band of the night.
They were really good.
I mean, the again, female singer, riffs for miles. At one point, she started trouble with her microphone, and she just was like, "Fuck it," and she just started screaming over the guitar, and she was able to keep up. Good. She was great. I mean, they were just like, no microphone, no problem.
And then I think you went up to her at the end of the set and said, "Man, who's gonna follow that?" But we had no idea what was to come next, which was a completely different flavor, but equally as delicious.
Vitriol was very, very good. It was like they have two frontmen. The bass player sings and the guitar sings. Very, very intense. The bass player was very Les Claypoolish. I went up and asked him if he was a Primus guy. Obviously he is. And then, of course, we had Exhumed close it out. Great set, great discography. Dr. Filthy was there.
Running amok.
It was great. It was great.
With his chainsaw.
Got a chance to catch up with Matt a little bit afterwards. So
yeah, it was an amazing night. And I can't say enough about Black and Death Metal fans. Best people around. So much better than those Bible thumping hypocritical people. I would take my people over any day. They are so compassionate. They are so accepting. If someone bumps into you, they actually say, "Excuse me."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're salt of the earth people.
If you fall down in the mosh pit, 3 people are pulling you up. You know,
it was great.
It was an awesome night. If you haven't caught the show and they're coming by you, get your tickets now. It's an amazing night.
So, in other news, Stace has been added to so many Facebook groups and, chat groups for the show. But she was recently added as an admin to some death metal Facebook group.
I didn't even realize it. So I started getting
she has the power to approve or decline new members.
I was like, wow, you want me to do this?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we got together and we decided that there's going to have to be 3 questions that you have to ask to get into the group. And they're all from this show. So 1, how many cats does Sammy from Goat Horror own?
Oh, I know.
We both know. 2, what kind of car does Matt Harvey from Exhumed drive?
I know.
And 3, What does it say on Jacob's silk underwear from Mercenary? You can't Google it. You have to watch the show. And if they get it wrong, they're out.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely think I ought to incorporate some of that into my discriminating taste, apparently.
Social media mastery. Yeah. So I was thinking about we have to take a trip to Seattle next week, actually tomorrow. And I was thinking about my old job. I used to have to do a lot more traveling, and I would travel to these manufacturing plants, and I was in charge of, helping improve their logistics. But just the differences in the plants. So we had a plant in Illinois, my old job, that used to make drives for controlling motors. It was kind of high tech, right? And this plant was like safety obsessed. Okay. Every time a visitor would come in, they had to watch this video, right? And since I was only there maybe once every 6 weeks or so, they considered me a visitor, right? So I got so tired of watching the safety video, like where to walk, what not to touch,
Where the eye work,
to wear the safety vest, right? At one point, I actually said, all right, I helped make this video. Can I get a buy from watching it every time? Like I said, you see those feet putting on the safety boots? Those are my feet. Do I get a buy? No, sorry, Mark. It's regulation. Got to make everybody see it and sign off. So you had that on the one side, and then on the other side, we had this other plant in the middle of nowhere in Arkansas. I mean, ancient building, ashtrays still built into the walls from the 50s or whatever. Every Southern stereotype you can imagine.
Water fountains.
The security guard had 3 teeth, Anyway, this place made air compressors, and I used to call it the 101 Ways to Die plant. I mean, huge, rickety-looking ovens that were built probably for the Mayflower. They would bake the paint on the compressors. They were like 1,000 degrees. The doors didn't shut all the way on them. 2 giant vats of acid. They would dip the metal housings into the acid, and it would, I guess, eat off the impurities. There was no guardrail. You could literally be like, "Hey, Bob, knock him. Where'd Bob go? I don't know. He was just here. He'd never be seen again."
Now Bob's the Joker. How
Right.
this happens.
There were giant 2,000-pound compressors swinging from ancient chains over your head. That's how they moved it from the front to the back of the warehouse. I just remember looking up and seeing this huge metal thing that could just come crashing down at any time and kill me. Ironically, I never even met their safety guy.
Really?
I don't think
I
they
thought
even-
you were the safety
I don't
guy.
even think they had one. I just was constantly pointing out ways to die. So anyway.
That's awesome.
Remember when we were talking about car shopping with our parents?
Oh my God. That was a torture.
Hostage
that was a
situation.
torture device.
Wait, did they lure you with chip chop ham?
No.
No, we had that last week. So
Um,
the villainy of chip chop ham.
actually that was the other show, but
Google the villainy of chip chop ham.
yeah, I can remember 2 horrible things my parents would drag me through. And as a small child, you think the day is just going to go on for years. One was we were in Florida and they agreed to the short conversation sales pitch about a timeshare.
We used to do those. Yep.
Oh my God. For like some coupon.
If you
for a
held out,
restaurant.
if you held out long enough, you got a free trip, and they didn't want to give it to you. Yeah,
I don't think it was a trip. I think it was a free dinner or entree or something. But
they must have upped it.
they
Yeah.
held us hostage for like 7 hours. It was horrible. You lost the whole day of your vacation listening to their jibber jabber.
Jibber jabber.
But, back in the day, you really had to, sit down in the salesman's office and, try to negotiate a deal. And they were always going to get the manager,
They got us with that. The first time I went to buy a car, the kids were young. We made that rookie move. You never take kids, especially small kids, to the negotiation buying a car, because the kids, we were there for 3 hours and the kids were all hungry and restless and crying. And it gets to the point where you're like, just give me the fucking thing. I'll sign it. And it's just, you're not equal in the negotiation, and they're going to play all those games, get the manager,
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah. Oh, it's so annoying. Yeah.
It's not like I remember with CarMax, I was trying to get money off my Fiat because I thought it was a little rust around the windows.
Mhm.
They don't negotiate there.
Yeah.
They're just like, Yeah, no, you're
Yeah, they don't
paying
want
the
to set
sun
the
sticker.
precedent for that because then that leads to all the bullshit.
Yeah, they don't do that.
Yeah.
It's what's on the sticker and you're done.
I just thought it was interesting how they come up with the new names for these car models.
Mm.
It's got to sound sporty, fun, cheery, maybe suggest good gas mileage, like the Fiat Pop, the Kia Sportage. They're like kind of made up words that are taken from other words.
I'm always annoyed when Versas aren't driven by gerbils when I pull up next to them.
And the commercial for that had Ace of Spades as the same. I like yelled for you. I'm like, come see this. They have a Motorhead commercial. It's great. But anyway, so I started thinking about it and I thought, I wonder what rejected car names
There's probably a lot.
are left in the boardroom that never see light of day.
Somewhere online that they tried to call one car cabbage or lettuce or something. Now, why the hell you'd want to do that is beyond me.
So we came up with some of our own car model names you'll never see. So I'll let you start off. You pick
All
one.
right. How about the Acura Spew? You can go.
Shot of power right off the gate. Yeah.
Or it's like finger guns. Pew, 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 pew.
The Acura Speed.
I don't know if that's what you want to be driving.
How about the Ford Shite?
Ew.
Chyta.
Sounds like
It's
a personal
short.
accident.
It's shortened to the point. I don't think it would.
No.
I'm never going to see that one.
How about the Ford Flop?
Where did flop come from? Like, what word did we get that from? Oh, flop, I guess. Flop. Maybe Vlad could drive it.
But it was supposed to be, they thought it was like forward, like FW, app, flap. No, it doesn't work.
I heard that before they came up with the Pontiac Fiero, it was going to be the Pontiac Firea. But it sounded a little bit more like a word that was kind of unpleasant.
I actually drove, and do not be jealous about this, a Geo Prism, which is a weird name for a car.
It's strange, yes.
Yeah, that hunk of junk.
How about the Buick Speedophile?
Now, nothing with file is never a good thing.
You're never going to see file. They're not going to.
Unless you're like a, library file. That's a whole different thing.
Speedophile.
Then I think it's just a nerd.
Get him out of the boardroom.
How about the Dodge Chuzzler SUV?
Yeah. That's not that bad because they're all guzzlers.
They are.
Yeah. I think that's pretty apt. Yeah.
I had a Suzuki Grand Vitara. Loved that car, but if you could move it between 2-wheel or 4-wheel drive and it was a stick.
Yeah.
But if you put that thing in the 4-wheel drive, you could just watch your gas go like that.
Oh, yeah. I've had cars like that. AC will do that too. Yeah. So I like this one. All right. So this is, you got to think about this a little bit, right?
Okay.
So, every time we see like a big oversized pickup truck and it never has any freight in it.
No.
And usually tinted windows, we're always like, big truck, small penis, right?
Tinted glass all.
Yeah. They have the Mini, that the sports cars called Minis.
Oh, yeah.
What if they had one called the Mini Package? And then if somebody asked you what you drove, you'd have to say, I have a Mini Package. So I guess you'd have to be really confident in yourself to have that car as a man. It must be all right for females.
You worked at UPS and there was actually a small package guy.
I felt like
Small package.
nobody else thought that was funny except me. That's how ingrained in the company they were. But the guys would actually say, I'm your small package guy. I'll go with you to the meeting.
Yeah.
And I'm like, did you realize that you just said, I'm your small package guy? I mean, do you have no pride whatsoever? Personally, I find that I have an abundant package. So,
You had to follow that up with I'm your ice cream man.
Yeah.
When it passes by.
I'll be your semi-impressive package.
Do you have a medium package guy?
How about, I think I got a couple more.
All right. How about the Honda Travesty?
I like that.
Yeah, I kind of like that.
That's your Saturn should have been the Saturn Travesty. That would have been like the perfect name for it because everything about it we talk about it almost every week. It's the Saturn Travesty.
Car. It's a travesty.
Mhm,
Yes. I mean, even the windshields wipers went up on that car.
And then I guess we'll close it out with the Volkswagen low self-esteem.
Ugh. I actually got that idea because there was actually a model of car called Esteem, which is again a weird name for a car.
So this has been
Esteemed, maybe.
Model Cars You'll Never See with Mark and Stace.
So this week's show is dedicated to the classic Florida death metal band Massacre and their reincarnation into Inhuman Condition.
Yes.
We have a cool sit down with the vocalist drummer Jeramie King and guitarist Taylor Nordberg. It's great the way they describe the labor and planning that went into the album and their music and down to the artwork,
Yeah.
and linking the Inhuman Condition stuff to the original Death and Massacre artwork.
Very cool.
You know, and even the name of the album is from a massacre. I mean, the name of the band is from a massacre song.
Yeah.
So, plus they're both in about a dozen other bands, from Deicide to Venom to Absence, and I think there's a few more. But they are very busy guys. They're very talented guys. They bring that energy. There's something magic about the three of them, though. We'll have them up behind us later. They really bring it. Their songs are very satisfying, and their videos are really good too. So if you haven't checked them out, I like the one where it's like old decrepit cars in a junkyard cemetery. Old decrepit cars cemetery. Yeah.
My biggest accomplishment in this interview was that we went through the entire thing and I did not make one Naked Gun reference, even though Taylor's last name is Nordberg.
I may have been kicking him under
It was
the
very.
table.
Oh, it took.
Don't.
I was gripping
Don't.
onto the podcast stand, just like I got to go there. No,
No.
I didn't go there. I'm very, very proud of myself. So why don't you introduce the first song?
So let's start by playing some classic Massacre from the classic From Beyond record. This is Cryptic Realms.
Okay, let's talk about Patreon. This show is just continuing, as we said, to add multiple effects, from major awards to horror movies to just about anything we can think of to enhance the experience for you guys. We've started to include a lot of bonus material for our Patreon page, videos that are not available anywhere else. Stacy's book reviews, Stacy's satanic recipes.
This is exclusive content for our Patreons only.
Yes.
So you're going to get more of us than you ever possibly could want.
Including a tour of my tattoos.
Maybe mine will come at some point.
So anyway, it's patreon.com/Snaggletooth podcasts. It traverses both shows. Please remember to hit subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss any of our craziness. Also check us out on Instagram at Snaggletooth R&R and at Snaggletooth Decay.
You can also enjoy Mark's various reviews on both pages. So,
Yes.
you know, and
Music review.
come at us in the comments. We
Come
like
at
it.
us in the comments. Yeah.
Definitely won't want to miss my lovely book reviews. I'm planning on doing one Thomas Hardy series. If you guys like dark as fuck, you'll love my abridged version of this, because you absolutely don't want to read this, but I'll give you the down low.
All right. I'll have a quick look at your Thomas Hardy. So everybody's obsessed with the World Cup at work.
Oh God.
And
You know,
we got an Italian guy and a couple Norwegian people, American guys, and everybody's standing around watching the games during the day. No work's getting done. I came in from getting lunch. I looked up and the score was 1-0, 1-0. And the game had been on for like 65 minutes. And I said, this is why my generation doesn't like soccer. Because something needs to happen.
you know, I'm a big hockey fan, and it is possible to have a 1-0 hockey end of score. But there's so much going on.
There's violence.
There's fighting, there's boarding, there's face-offs,
Sticking.
there's, you know, high sticks, there's penalty boxes, there's 5 minutes for fighting. Something is always going on in a hockey game. In soccer, it just seems to be running, kicking, running, kicking, running, kicking, running, kicking, running, kicking, running, kicking. I don't know.
Laying on the ground and
I just
pretending to be
can't.
hurt.
I just can't do it.
Anyway, so this got me thinking about the Olympics, because it's not too far off. And I started thinking about all the Olympic sports that I don't understand. It came from like Europe and
I
Scandinavia.
understand a lot of them. To be
And so what you see behind us is called dressage. It's the dancing horses. This is still an Olympic sport.
Huh.
but I think they took wrestling out. So wrestling is not considered an Olympic sport anymore, but we still have
Wrestling's
this.
been around since the original Greek Olympics.
I know, I don't get it. But I'm telling you, I remember hearing about that they took wrestling out, unless they put it back. But the fact that dressage is in there, how about the next one?
Curling is something I never understood.
That should be up soon.
It's this bizarre
Rapid sweeping.
where like scrubbing the surface of the ice with an ice scraper.
It's sort of like billiards. The ice is a giant billiard table, and you're trying to get your ball to move with.
Thing is kind of just like a lesson in physics or something. An object in motion tends to stay in motion, and
But you got scrub.
but if you scrub it goes faster. Is that
Or
a physics?
changes direction. Yeah.
I don't know. It's really bizarre.
It's
and
really weird. It seems like the weirder ones come from Scandinavia, like the curling, biathlon. Here's one combination of cross country skiing, and then you got to stop and shoot a rifle. And then you go back to skiing. Like, what sadist thought of this?
Maybe at some point that was how you had to go out and get your meal before,
on skis.
Well, yeah, in the winter, if it's all snowy, you got to ski and then shoot shit, for dinner.
I think you should also have to do some Uber deliveries while you're doing it. So you're skiing and you got packs of food on you, like bags of Uber Eats, and you stop skiing, shoot that bird, and then drop off somebody's meal. I think that'll work now.
I used to run these. I went to a phase instead of just running a straight 5K, 10K, 15K. I would do these ridiculous obstacle courses, or the mud run was horrible.
She sent me a picture of her after the mud run. Sexy as hell.
If you enjoy covered in mud.
Oh god, even hotter. Oh wait, it's icing.
God, it's
And Herb Tarlick's pants. Look at this.
more. Apparently that's our uniform is plaid pants. Who made that
I
decision?
love it. Look
What
at
should
that.
we wear? Let's
Ron
wear plaid
Burgundy
pants.
does curling.
Yeah.
Look at this. Oh, that's great. Look at it. Oh, and here comes the scrubbing. Scrub. Yeah.
So I don't get it. The lead guy just lets off and the other ones just have to beat it.
That's so great. Look at that. Flap.
So weird.
So the team recruiter
Yeah.
is walking down the street and he sees this housewife and she's sweeping it out and he's like, "Hey, wait. Saw you from over there. I see some skills when you're sweeping. Have you ever thought about a life of curling?" No. How about all right? So let's move on.
Plaid pants.
Bobsledding and luge. So I'm not sure which is which. Bobsledding, you're hurtling to your death as a team,
Yes.
right? And then when it's the luge, it's just suicide.
I know it has something to do with leaning. Remember when they
It's
had the
leaning.
Jamaican bobsled team and they were practicing in a bathtub or something?
Leaning. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
That's a terrible movie.
professional leaning.
Terrible. John Candy made such terrible movies. The thing with John Candy is he was always great if he was a supporting bit player.
Oh.
But if the movie was about him, Uncle Buck, oh my god, I hate that movie.
Oh my god.
And I just never he didn't translate to as the main character. But yeah, I loved him in Stripes. I loved him in Planes, Trains, Automobile, Splash. Great.
I always wanted it so maybe you had to do, a luge instead of one person. It would have to be three people stacked on a sled. Lean on it. Somebody would get lost.
Then there's the modern pentathlon.
Huh, what is that?
I like the penta part. It's an Olympic sport that consists of fencing, freestyle swimming, equestrian show jumping, pistol shooting, and cross-country running. So basically, I think you have to be the man in black to do this. You have to be like Inigo Montoya from Princess Bride, because you finish fencing, then you jump in the water to save the princess from the shrieking eels, right? And then you have to,
Scale a cliff and
that basically, cross-country running, shoot pistols, do fancy horse tricks. I mean, yeah.
maybe it was like
the
the
hell thought of this.
original America Ninja thing,
Could
maybe
be.
that's where that came from.
Yeah.
Let's make him do a bunch of weird, unrelated shit. Flip burgers while you're at it.
You had a great point about skateboarding.
Yeah, skateboarding was one of the 4 new sports added to the Olympics for 2020.
Mm.
And it's also been approved for 2024 Summer Olympic Games. And this is something that my son used to get thrown out of garages and parking lots for doing. Plus, it must be the only sign in a 7-Eleven parking lot.
No skateboarding.
There's no skateboarding and no loitering.
It's like the most discriminated against sport of all, and now it's in the Olympics.
Right.
Yeah.
And, most places will forbid you from doing it. I say to 7-Eleven, where are the no badminton signs if you're going to start calling out sports? So I think we're going to go later and put up a net and get some, shuttlecocks and some.
Let's make them put up a no
rackets.
badminton sign. Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't say no badminton playing. What's wrong? I guess we're loitering technically.
No luge.
Loitering.
No luge. But your parking lot is on a incline. No luging at 7-Eleven. Yeah. So anyway, so in the spirit of these crazy sports, these multitasking sports, we came up with a few of our own that we think kind of mirror modern life and things that can be multitasked. Like I'll start off with, I think I've shared with you my years of going to the Preakness and the BYO phase. So I would say the Preakness infield should definitely be an event. A combination of drinking and porta pot tipping.
Oh.
It takes a lot of dexterity to do that. Yeah.
I was always in the grandstand. That involved big hat wearing and trying not to break the glass. Your Black-Eyed Susan came in so you could take it home for a souvenir. That was very
You
different.
were very different parts of the Preakness, yes.
I kind of like the H&R drunk.
The hell's that?
This is a combination of drinking wine, exercising, and doing your taxes.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
think
I wouldn't
could-
recommend it.
I think I could pull that. Because sometimes when I do the taxes, I feel like I was drunk when I did them anyway. When I review them later, I'm like, what the hell? How about this one? The autofecta. This is like this modern life. Driving a stick, eating a cheeseburger, and screaming "representative" into your phone. That's
Yeah.
multitasking.
I
think I've done that many times. Yeah.
I always used to drive a stick. For years, I would just buy a stick. And it's always a moment when you finally get on the highway where you can put it into fifth gear and reach for your coffee. It's the best moment.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. Or how about this? The conference commander,
Oh.
eating your breakfast, pretending to pay attention to a work Zoom call, and secretly shopping online. Yeah, and again, we talked about this. One thing in college that I learned, despite all the counting classes and all the sign language classes and German classes, all the things that you eventually forget, the main skill that you get out of college that nobody talks about is the ability to pretend you're paying attention to the teacher while you're actually doing work for another class. And that carries over to the corporate world. You're on a call, you have to act like you're engaged. Every once in a while you throw out, I agree, that's a great idea. But secretly you're doing other work the whole time. That's what I got out of college. Invaluable.
I got out of college how to avoid women mostly. Yeah, I went to an all-girls school. Never liked all the crazy stuck-up girls I went to school with.
I did not avoid the women. That's another story. So how about the next one?
All right, so I thought of two sports that are currently outlawed in public schools, which we used to play.
Blasphemy.
Dodgeball and Red Rover. I'm sure you all know what dodgeball is. Red Rover, it might be a little sketchy on. Basically, you form a human chain by, holding hands, and you call someone from the other side. You Red Rover, let, come quack, come over. And they have to run at you and attempt to break your grip so that they get through. And the reward is they get to join your chain, or they get to take somebody back for their chain. Take again. They need to, if they break through, they can take someone back from their chain, which I guess ends with, two people gripping at each other, or they get clotheslined. So I think this would be a great sport if you involve that, throwing balls at people, and you got bonus points for selling Girl Scout cookies while doing it.
Red Rover, I would just be scoping it out and be like, all right, the link there is Smith and Lebedowitz. That's not going to hold up. I'm going right for that one. And if that one doesn't work, then I'm going to go with, Jones and Moskowitz over there.
Oh my God.
I think I can charge right through those fuckers. And I'll tell you what, I was a demon with dodgeball. That little red ball, I could take somebody's head off that thing. I mean,
They were like the ones
loved it.
in gym class, how the balls smelled when they hit you.
Everything in gym class smelled after a while. And
It was like
everything was shared multiple
plastic
times.
and sweat and broken gym teacher dreams.
Yes. Yeah.
It was a bad combination. But I have the ultimate one. I think it should be called Dexterity for Days. It's called Trying to Catch a Cat that has recently rubbed against your legs that are covered in nair. And as you realize that said cat is covered in nair, it decides to go under the sofa.
This may or may not have actually
Go.
happened. Yeah. What about the flume thing? That story's scary as shit.
Okay, how about this?
What was it, Great Wolf Lodge or something?
No, it was just some random water park. It might have been Myrtle Beach, but decided to go to a water park, and
Extreme water park.
I had my youngest and didn't realize when we went into the tunnel, you weren't going to be able to see anything.
And it was like the giant toilet.
It was horrible. I just was like,
if I let go of this baby, I'm never. Yeah, that was.
So-
They shouldn't even let you do that.
No.
That's not right.
we had been down a couple other slides that in the same park that didn't do that. But as soon as I was all in the dark holding a wet baby, I was like, oh my God.
It's terrifying. Kind of like I have a similar story. I call it the Witch Mountain Terror. So we went to Disney, and my daughter was young, and she was going through this phase where she could kind of collapse her exoskeleton and get out of any car seat or seatbelt or, restraining device, right? So we get in line, and we go all the way through. We get to the roller coaster. It's single file. So we had to take our turn. So I literally rode the roller coaster, standing and holding her in place. Yeah. Scared to death. I swear, gray hair streaks. I looked like the Bride of Frankenstein after that ride. I was scared. I was like, we paid for this? We paid for this. Anyway, so this has been possible new Olympic Games with Mark and Stace. Okay.
All right. So we finally got some Inhuman Condition behind us. If
Yep.
you haven't seen them yet, check them out.
Now, that is actually the drummer singing. Live, they have a different drummer. But we do, in the interview, we do ask him if he's going to ever do the Phil Collins. Yeah. So stay tuned for that. Yeah.
I love it. So maybe we should play another Inhuman Condition song.
Let's do that.
All right. This is one of my favorites, The Mold Testament.
Yes.
All right. So time for a small commercial interruption. This is our sponsor, Hum Nutritionals. Now, we both honestly take these every morning. I have learned the science behind these products is even if you think it's not going to work over time, I've noticed changes. So I'll just highlight two products because I use a bunch of these every day. Collagen Pop. This is premium, I guess, rather than cut rate marine collagen. But I had noticed a difference in this, and it's always kind of a benefit I didn't expect. I originally took this to help you. It's little tablets. I use about half a tablet and put it in water. It actually makes kind of a tasty drink. Don't put it in your coffee, though. I tried that. It was horrible. Put it in water. But it actually helps with your body's ligaments and tendons. I had a problem with my back leg. I heard it in dance class and it hurt for about 3 years. I was supposed to get an MRI. I never did. I just walked out. But since using this product, I can still do downward facing dog and child's pose and yoga things I could not do before. I don't have pain anymore. Along with it helps with fine lines. So this is a great product. Also, like I said, very tasty. One of my other favorites is Wingman. So this is great. It has the milk thistle for cleaning out your liver. And as a bonus added side effect, I didn't think this was possible. It says it does. It actually helps kind of get rid of your dark circles. So who knew? They have a lot of great products over at Hum Nutrition. If you're not sure what's right for you, they have a little quiz. They have dermatologists on the standby to answer your questions. So use our link in the show notes. Get over there. It will save you $20 off your first order of $39 or more.
It's time for Wax of Contrition. Got a couple of really good ones for you today, folks. We're going to start off with seminal grindcore Repulsion's Horrified. Now, Repulsion very rarely has a band nailed the moniker so well. I mean, Repulsion, filthy brain cell destroying monsters crawling from sewers, disgustingly potent, ear grinding death metal of the highest quality.
They remind me of the Whispers and the Zombies with the
We'll show some.
banner.
We'll show some stills of me taking, well, not stills, but show some
Close-ups.
close-ups of the record as I take it apart. But this actually goes all the way back to 1989 was when this was originally released
Wow.
as a demo. And I mean, they weren't tech masters. The solos sound more like an air compressor overheating than an actual guitar technique. But the overall sound is just so glorious. I mean, like if you listen to Scott Carlson's bass tone at the end of Acid Bath, it just runs your ass over. I mean, the production's primitive, but in the most perfect way. The drums and bass are just locked in this kind of like mind-boggling den of thrash and blast beats. This is my favorite grindcore album, and it was one of the first grindcore albums. It's hard for me to pick any favorites, but I would say Festering Boils, maybe, and of course the apocalyptic genius of Slaughter of the Innocent. Both come to mind. The world is at war. Anyway, if this album is on, I don't have very much attention, so you can't talk to me when Horrified is playing.
I will tell you that various bands have recorded covers of Repulsion songs, including Napalm Death, Impaled, and Entombed.
Yeah, they're one of the original flavors, folks. And Relapse did a really nice job with this reissue. For a long time, you couldn't get Horrified at all, except for maybe some hissy copy of a copy of a copy type of thing. So let's play a song from this incredible record. Let's play The Stench of Burning Death.
We seem to have a lot of shows that end up like people burning their dead, whether it be Walking Dead, Game of Thrones. Heads on spikes and burning corpses. What can you say?
Okay. Wax of Contrition continues with this little beauty from French black metal band Isaac Trillahum. Now, take a look at this. This is how you put out a CD. I mean,
It looks like a book.
It's like it is. There's extensive liner notes. The artwork is dark, and just there's that air of handmade quality to this. That really, it feels almost like a record. It's a one-man band. It's led by Asthagul is the name of the dude. He does all the instrumentation. It's such an overwhelming sound, this band. The first time I heard it, I thought that there were like a couple of layers of scuzz, like looped in, just scuzz. But as I listened to it more, I realized there's just a lot going on. It's almost like death metal for audiophiles. The drums tick and blast and pound. His death growls spin yarns of king, country, Satan, and sacrifice. There's just so many great songs. This is my favorite album from the band.
He's very prolific too. I mean, pretty much, going back to 2017, he does at least one album a year. So he keeps coming back from his shadowy, voluntary isolation with this unholy monument that is
sort of his own language, kind of made up from Lovecraftian themes. The full name of this album is not just Pandemorphium. It's Pandemorphium, Forbidden Formulas to Awaken the Blind Sovereigns of Nothingness.
Yeah, he likes
So
long.
he kind of drinks from the same fountain as Inquisition with the long
Yeah.
subtitles. Yeah, with long titles. Every album, just the artwork just blows you away. Inhumana, the Telluric Ashes of the Oath. What is it? The Telluric Ashes of the Oath, Immemorial Gods, Eternity of Shaog, which is not what your dirty mind was thinking when you saw that title.
I thought maybe it was related to Zool.
I wouldn't mind Eternity of Shag. Anyway, why don't we go ahead and play a song from this crazy French guy?
Consecration of the Spirit is Flesh. And you know who he reminds me of? Dead.
Oh, he looks just like him.
Oh, it's like as if Dead didn't die.
Yeah.
There he is.
Yeah. So this song is called Lord of the Closed Eyes. Intense.
And French.
French, yeah. French bread.
Yeah, we
French
wanted
dressing.
to be on the show, but I guess
He politely declined, but he said it was nice that there still are shows like this.
yeah,
So
and
that was nice.
but I think he enjoys his isolation. So
But have you seen my wife's tits? No, I did not say that. Anyway. All right, so we have a feature interview that's very good. Jeramie and Taylor from Inhuman Condition. I do not make any reference to Nordberg at all,
I was kicking him.
but we do have quite the geek out on what is it? What did we geek out about? Dungeons. There's talk about dungeons. So stay tuned.
We have a small dog that will come and go on this side. So.
Yeah.
Ooh, fun. Cool.
Yeah,
like
he's
that.
always here.
Yeah.
Well, we've been loving. I love Drakon. I love Fear Sick. I don't know about the Fear Sick shower curtain. I'm leaning that way.
I mean, if you have to think about it, that's a yes.
In fact, I
really
might
ties
have to
the room
repaint the
together.
bathroom, but I'm down.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So although I was a little confused in your guys' videos, I love the energy. I just could not. It was like just the playing off of each other was awesome. I couldn't imagine pulling that kind of energy out of myself. How do you pull that kind of energy out?
I guess.
Reach deep down and rip it out from the depths.
Yeah.
It kind of is just like the videos are a little different because you don't have the interaction with a crowd, so you kind of just have to like pretend like you have an adrenaline rush and are the coolest guy ever. But you kind of have to just pretend like it's a live show more or less. And
I think Taylor actually is the coolest guy.
you have to think that you're the coolest guy in the room anyway.
Well,
That's
like
the whole part
I'm
of
the
it.
monster. I love when you like incite it looks like you incited a mosh pit, so that's good.
That was an actual live show. So that was cut from we did a show in Minneapolis.
Mhm.
Yeah, we played at the Caboose in Minneapolis. And we got some real cool footage and then turned it into that, So that was an actual show. So that is literally how it looks whenever we're up there doing whatever the fuck it is that we're doing. It's that.
Well, I was confused
The
watching one
band's
of the
great.
videos.
It's high energy, so it's not really like you don't have to try to be. It's kind of that, anyways. And if you don't, I don't know. To me, when I hear,
Into it.
it's like the same vibe. But when I hear, we just listened to what World Below. Is that what we just listened to, or what was that? That obituary record we just listened to?
Oh, Frozen in Time.
Frozen in Time. Insert a big red X and over me. Oh.
Other record. but-
There we go.
Yeah, we just listened to Frozen in Time, and like you're just sitting there fucking raging along with that music. So Rat God and Fearsick does the same thing to me. I mean, then
Yeah.
that in turns, like I don't let Taylor take a nap on stage. Not that he naps, but I don't let him like go over to him and like fucking I have no idea what's gonna happen. I might bump him. I might just put my arm around him and sing at him. Who knows, right? Sometimes I choke him. Well, fake choke him. Really, it's not a real choke. It's like a wrestling choke, but it looks cool,
Yeah. Now I was expecting from the video, I was a little confused because I thought you were going to be doing the Phil Collins and singing and drumming at the same time.
Yeah. Could.
I've tried to talk him into that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would say for
Yeah.
years, but we've only been a band.
Right
for about-
after you do Susudio, then you can, then.
Hey, why not? We talked about maybe doing like a local show around here, just making it special and doing a one-off. I mean, I can sing and play. So, but it's also, there's a majesty to just getting down in the crowd and fucking moshing with them.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine singing and drumming that way, both at one. Oh my God.
Yeah, it's not it's doable. It wouldn't be one would be more compromised. So no matter which way you cut the mustard, something would give. But it'd be I for sure would do it. We played a show before. We have a black metal band, and it's just him and I. And I play drums and sing, and he plays guitar and sings, and we sing at the same time the entire time. So every line is completely doubled the whole time. And
That's cool. Yeah.
and then we play with bass backing tracks and keyboard backing tracks, and all the accoutrements are all in the tracks. And then it's just us, ripping the whole time. So
Yeah.
it's doable, but I think I'd much rather just jump around and have the energy and just be a front man. Because let's face it, I played drums for like fucking ever. So kind of cool to switch it up.
I don't know if you get this, Taylor, but you have a very Dave Murray-esque about you. You do. I mean,
I'll take that.
Yeah.
I think it's the
I
smile.
just saw them like 2 weeks ago down here in Florida, and they were
Just have that tranquil kind of, and almost the same. Your face sort of reminds me of Dave Murray. Yeah. So
he seems like a nice guy.
yeah,
Andy
that's a good thing for a metal.
Yeah.
He's very merry.
You guys have such an obvious 80s, 90s influences from your album cover to your sound. Why do you think this kind of music is kind of rooted in that era? It's like the upside down. It's kind of stuck in 83, right?
Well, when we first started, actually before Inhuman Condition, Jeremy and I were asked to join Massacre a couple years ago, and we were asked to write the new record. And for those that don't know, all the songs on Rat God and half of Fear Sick were written in that first batch of songs that was originally going to be Massacre. So when we were writing, we were obviously listening to Celtic Frost and the old Death demos and the Massacre demos and DRI and all the other extreme stuff around that time. I mean, even like Pantera and Sepultura influences and stuff. So obviously we wanted it to sort of have that, I guess, old school sound. I hate that everybody just says, "Oh, we're an old school death metal band." I mean, I guess it is what it is. I just write the stuff that I would want to hear, and I happen to like Massacre and Obituary and Death, and that kind of Demolition Hammer, the borderline between death metal and thrash metal, and it seems like a lot of other people are also, wanting that same kind of death metal. So it kind of just
is it hard to because the equipment and all has changed so much. Like if you go back and you really listen to those records, the early from like 91, like the true death metal, there's mistakes and shit in there, and I mean it's not precise, it's very analog. Is that hard to capture? Like or how do you manage to, because I don't think you could make Scream Bloody Gore again today the way it sounds. I just don't think you can. It's too raw, and everything is, there's so much technology now, and I don't know.
It's a very fine line to dance between, because today's recording standards are your album is required to sound tight and everything to the grid and clean this and no ringing out of this or that, and obviously that is not the case for any of the records that we all grew up listening to. So if you make a record that sounds loose, then arguably it sounds, well, that's just a not tight recording. So you have to kind of find the line where, well, you get a good performance, it may have kind of a snuffed note in there or something, but the overall vibe was there. So it's kind of like a ballet, like a very finesse game. Either way, one side is too robotic, or either way the other side is too loose and
so we did that with both those records. I tracked the drums for that in for all of Rat God and half of Fear Sick. We did that in one session, and I tracked those drums in 8 hours. I did both of those in 8 hours, and it was like great, cool, awesome take. Basically, like all of them were all solid swath playthroughs, and just what he just said, vibes. So it was like a vibe. And then we did not go crazy and edit every single kick drum hit, like my hi-hat, my ride, my hi-hat, my snare might have a little bit of a flam with my kick. And we left that shit because, I don't know, that's what I did. So that was what the music was. And, I've had some friends of mine hit me up and go, oh man, I like that you just didn't fucking edit the drums. Like, he's like, I was like hearing like we in the studio, we call them artifacts. They're like, I was hearing like artifacts, and I'm like, yeah, it's just not really artifacts. That's me playing, It was like, kicking snare flams and stuff like that. And same thing with guitars. Like, it's really easy to edit all of your guitars to the grid, and we didn't. We left it natural, within reason. I mean, it wasn't, it's not so loose that it's like a Burzum recording, and then everyone's like, what the fuck is this? I can't hear what's happening. It sounds like soup,
Right.
That if you did that, then it would be like, oh, that's shit. You know, like he said, it's a fine line. It's like a ballet. That's a good analogy.
I love the artwork, the way
Oh, yeah.
it's so like the first Massacre album, which I remember when people started bitching about that pink album cover, and I just was like, really,
It's
I think
great.
it's so badass.
That's
And I
really
love
good.
that you kind of take the spirit of that with the IC artwork. I love that. Yeah.
Yeah, we definitely wanted to have Dan back.
yeah.
Because we had half of the songs from that first session, so it kind of felt like we always say they're Irish twins. These, but we were like, well, it obviously people freaked out over Dan's art on the first record, so well, let's throw him back in the mix again. Let's make him look more demented and throw him in a new landscape. And when he sent back sort of like preliminary color workouts to say, well, do we want it to go in this hue or this hue? All of us thought that the pink just looked the coolest.
Yeah.
So it's like, it was kind of an extra little hat tip to, Leprosy and From Beyond and stuff. So
Yeah, yeah.
it kind of just worked out that way.
And also
The guy with the short hair, is he a mascot? The guy with the short hair that's dragging him.
He's kind of
zombies around.
unintentionally become that. I don't know if he's going to be on future records or if we're just going to do a two-piece and be done, or maybe the next one. I don't know. But
yeah, we'll see.
Maybe
that's
one
kind
time
of
he'll join you
what
on
the thing
stage.
Is he your guy's Eddie? We're like,
Yeah, maybe.
he's just some dude. He's not super exciting.
We put him on our tour shirts though, so he is like coming out of the water and grabbing this chick's face and bringing her down to the water. So it's yet another version of him, but he's like shittier. So he looks like way worse, like from Rat God. So if Rat God, you see him, he's walking up the stairs, he looks like normal enough, and then you see him in the mirror reflection, he's a monster. And then you see him on the cover of Fear Sick, and he's more of a monster. And then he's like a total monster in this the tour shirt that
That's
we made.
cool. I like
It's like
that.
the beginning of Falling Down versus the end of Falling Down.
Yeah.
It's really lost it.
Yeah.
And to go back to that cover from like Massacre and Death Leprosy and that pink hue, and another reason why we landed on that was because it said so much. It was like Leprosy is like, it's sort of like a wasteland, like where the hell is that guy, right? And it puts him somewhere, like the Rat God is what folks have called him, like they're giving him that name, the Rat God, like he's by this what appears to be a building made of the same shit that the floor was made out of, the stairs were made out of on the cover of Rat God. And in the background, Dan drew like it's like a little bit of like a building off in the distance. And it's like, maybe that's the backside of Death Leprosy. Maybe Death Leprosy is over there. Maybe that's the scene. Maybe you're getting two angles,
That's
He's
awesome.
like, it's not a direct line to that, but if it makes the reader, viewer, fan think that, then that's also cool. That's just some other dimension. Like, where the hell is he? Like, what is this planet? I never want to go there.
That's the ultimate recycling. When
I love
making buildings.
I love
with it.
hearing you talk about that, because I thought I was the only one that scrutinized album covers like that.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
That's the point. That's another thing that we wanted to have some like really cool, again, old school artwork, because a lot of those great albums from the 80s and 90s had great art, and you could sit there and
Right.
stare at it for 20 minutes and go, holy crap, I didn't notice there's a hand down there underneath,
Right.
whatever.
Speculate
There's
about it and
another light down there,
Yeah, but
And
always-
not to sell the shower curtain, but that's what's so cool about the shower curtain, because it's 60 inches by 72 inches. So I mean, that artwork, and it holds up when you blow it up that big. I mean, it holds up. You're like, oh wow. Then you really see the magic of Dan Goldsworthy. It really, like, at that point becomes apparent because it's in your face. My kids have to shower with the Rat God. That's like, it's it. It's kind of spooky, but hey.
I may never get out of the shower again.
and it goes with your conditioner, right? Did I see conditioner on your merch table?
Yeah, we had
Inhuman Condition conditioner.
Well, everybody's got long hair nowadays. Yeah.
gotta keep it clean, smelling good,
Like, wow, that goes with the show. I like it. It's a whole motif.
Yeah, just so you know, we were talking to Sammy from Goatwhore the other day, and he very much approved of Inhuman Condition, or he thought it was a great idea.
Nice.
So yeah,
That's great.
very cool. Yeah.
Cool.
Anything to get people to go, wow, did they really do that? All right,
Yeah.
I'll take one.
That's so goddamn Florida of us. So whatever.
Yeah.
Here we are.
Yeah, I remember like a lot of people will ask, they'll say, what was it about Florida? What was it about the Tampa area that all these incredible bands came out and they were all so intense? It was Mara Sound. I mean, I always felt like that's kind of a dumb question because you had to kind of go to Mara Sound. I mean, it's not like people were crawling out of the swamps and just in that part of Florida. I mean, what do you
Well,
think?
a lot of those bands
Isn't it
were
kind of the Mara
around.
Sound it's the key? Really, I mean,
I think the Moore Sound definitely kickstarted it. But a lot of the death metal bands all say that it all stemmed from Nasty Savage and Sabotage, and they all talk about like these 2 or 3 gigs that happened in the mid '80s where Nasty Savage guys are over here and the Death guys are here and Executioners here and Morbid Angel guys are here, DSI guys. They all talk about the same couple shows.
Yep.
And that was like the catalyst, I think, for those. It just happened to be that they were all in the same age group and they were all, Slayer fans or whatever. And then More Sound happened to be the studio that was willing to record all these raucous bands and, crazy double bass. Nobody knew what to do with it until More Sound.
Yeah.
Really. I've
heard that. Yeah. And it's weird because both Nasty Savage and Sabotage both had a lot of songs about dungeons and whips back then. So I thought, what's going on in Tampa?
Well, nobody knows. Some witchy stuff. Swamp witches.
I guess, yeah.
Yeah, because I mean they're probably below sea level, so there are no dungeons unless they're,
You can't even have a basement down there, right? In
So-
Florida, you can't have a basement, right?
I actually had a basement in Newport Richey. There's 4, and there are 3/4 basements, and I rented one of those, and we both play in the Absence, and for the Absence second record, Riders of the Plague, we wrote that entire record in the basement.
Okay.
Wow.
So there's not many.
It was really underground.
It was underground. So.
That's a good one. But yeah.
I had some specific guitar questions because I love like the galloping riffs, kind of with that like thrash kind of peppered in. And then is that like a whammy bar? I mean, I was like, wow, that's so neat. How did you come up with all that as a sound?
Well, to be honest, a lot of it was just trying to do what Rick Ross and Alan West were doing, and Chuck, of course.
Yeah.
Like I said, when we were doing the Massacre album, we were trying to not only make some music that had that kind of vibe, but we wanted the sound to sound like it as well. So I did some research and found out what amps and pedals some of the guys were using, during the More Sound recordings, and got myself some amps and whatnot, and that kind of helped the dial in the tone a little bit. But like I said, I'm just a fan of that. Huge thrash fan, huge death metal fan, and I love that in between area, where it's brutal enough to where the extreme metalheads can get into it, but it's accessible enough and there's enough groove in it to where the Joe Schmo who's lifting weights at the gym can be like, oh hell yeah, next step, cool. So
That's the crossroads. Yeah.
I always tell him, I said, there's only 12 notes. There's only 12 notes you could use. So obviously we're all just ripping off Tony Iommi.
Yeah.
When it all boils down to it, it's really just Tony Iommi we're all jockeying. So
Yeah.
The influence from the Massacre stuff and the whammy bar stuff was really just kind of my flamboyant take on what Rick Ross was doing, I guess.
It's cool to have Rick solos on
Yeah.
some of the songs. Did he ever express any interest in joining the band full time, or?
We never really chatted about it. It was kind of always just spoken that we were just gonna have him do a couple leads. I mean, when he came to do those, I think he was only here for about 15 minutes. He just showed up.
Wow.
First take, he was like, yep, that one's cool. And we're all like, hell yeah, that was awesome.
I was
And
like,
then
damn,
open up the next song.
Sound like it.
Open up the next one. He did maybe 2 takes, and then we just hung out for about a half hour, and then pretty quick and easy.
Back to like the Mold Testament. What does I was reading the lyrics about punishment, intense with love, never, which is good for this discussion. But where does that title come from?
The
Mold Testament.
Well, I'm kind of like a random Betty. I just think of shit, and my brother's the same way. So we'll just say stuff, and we're wordplay, wordsmiths. We like to mix shit up and say stuff wrong anyway. So that's that's pretty common. So I was like, man, the Mold Testament would be a great name for a song. So I have a list in my phone of just like song titles that I've come up with. And then sometimes I'll jot down, like, it could just maybe not even be a title. It could just be like an idea for a song and I just have this list, and the Mold Testament made the cut. I wrote the lyrics for that song, and the song is about, I have a very close friend of mine that he's trapped in a relationship with essentially a sociopath, and he is an exuberant, vibrant fella, and you just watch him getting the energy zapped out of him, and it's sad, So I wrote that song, Punishment Tinged with Love. That's one of the lyrics. It's actually pretty sad, and I was like, wow, if that's not like this, like sort of like a biblical, like a scripture, and I'm like, wow, Old Testament. I was like, perfect. I was like, it brings like tomb to your mind of like,
I loved Quicksand Embrace. That was
Quicksand Embrace. Yeah, you're standing there and you're just getting fucking totally choke hugged, and you have nowhere to go. And that's where the music video, like, because I guess I directed it, and I cut it, and the ending is like a TV, and then you got all these hippies dancing like with this like world music, like they're like, and they were like, there's this world going, and they're like the whole song changes, and they're just dancing, and you start seeing trails, and it's wild, and the ending is like, it's a spiral of chaos. I mean, there's nowhere, you're fucking stuck, and that's like and also in the video, I wanted to show the cars and people are basically the same thing. They're like, we're discarded in the same fashion,
which is trash.
Which is trash, which is like we just, from whence he came, we go back to the earth, and so I kind of just tied all those together with that title, which I think works.
It's great. That song speaks to both of us. We both had relationships like that. So,
relationships.
Yeah.
I like that.
All the soup cans had to be facing the right. Oh, never mind.
Now, Wound Collector, though, that reminded me. You probably have never watched Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency, but they have like these psychic vampires in this show. It's a really, really.
Oh, we heard about this. Yeah,
it's a really fucked up show.
Someone had said the same thing, that like that reminded them of that. But yeah, keep going. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, it's just they have these guys, and when someone's like having problems, they literally gather around them and suck off all the bad stuff. It's a great visual. So I was like, was that like about like a psychic vampire like that, or just something different?
It was, well, in less of a, like, in that sense, the vampire sounds like a helper.
Yeah.
In the sense that I wrote about it, it was more of like someone that is just addicted to like death and darkness, and they're just like out collecting, like, oh, you have a sad story, oh, here, I'll help you, oh, someone died, oh, let's talk about it, someone that'll just go from wound to wound, like, just basically an attention seeker, more or less. But I like Your Story is cool too, so I'm gonna start telling people that as well.
That series was only 2 seasons, but it's some of the most fucked up stuff you will ever see in your life.
I don't think it's good. I think they're like actual vampires that like they draw their. I don't think it's not good, right? They're like,
well, the vampires are like good and who they help, but they're these 4 guys that literally for no reason will take baseball bats and just start fucking everything up. They're kind of they're a gray area.
It's a gray area.
But they help one of the characters who has this crazy disease that makes her see things that aren't there, and when she has it, she has these fits, and they all come around her and they literally suck it in. But it's because they like it, it's like a drug fix for them.
Killer. All right.
That's interesting.
That is.
But that's totally what I got from that one. I loved it.
And then the title, I really pined over the title, because the title of the record, Fear Sick, and man, that was an 11th hour thing. I did not have that title at all until I think it was the last piece of the puzzle to fall in place. I wanted something that tied the whole room together, and I thought Fear Sick was perfect, because you could be dope sick if you're, if you need your drug, you need your fix. And I know most people are so addicted to fear, and it runs the ship. So
Yeah, it's
let's
that
just
culture
talk about
since
it.
9/11. Be afraid, or the pandemic. Be afraid. Do this, do that. So I totally got that
Yeah.
from that
So
Fear
title.
of God, fear of government, fear of
Uh-huh.
your neighbor.
So let's give it a title. Let's give it a let's put it on a disc, and we can put it in our CD player, and hopefully, but truthfully, I know that people are like, I hope that my lyrics affect somebody. I know that my bro and I feel the same way. As hopefully it affects somebody and it makes them go like, wow, Jeramie and Taylor are talking right to me. Like while these guys are talking to me, it's meant for me, and it really is. I mean, it's our experiences, and it's the folks we come across, and it's also writing the music is cathartic, putting it down, releasing it, all of that is all it's all good. It's all good therapy all the way around, I
It's
think.
just our study of the human condition.
The,
Not to make a
the
band name pun, but
inhuman.
I see what you did there.
Inhuman, yeah. Well, should we do our game?
Yeah, let's do our game. I think that's good.
All right. So we have this game. It's called Really Random
3 and
Questions,
3.
but there's 2 of you, so we'll go 3 and 3.
okay.
I have
Okay.
questions randomly numbered between 1 and 85. So each of you picks 3 different numbers between 1 and 85.
I'll do 6,
There you go.
and I'll also do 6. And then I'll go ahead and I'll take number 1.
All right.
I'm gonna do number 9,
Of course.
because the Beatles' White Album.
Yep.
11 because Spinal Tap, and I'm gonna go 3.
I made
Thanks,
glasses for him. You could custom make glasses. His was like, it's Mark's Tavern. It says these go to 11. It makes no sense, but it's fine. All right. So question number 6. What
That's
OCD habits do you have?
Oh boy. I'm pretty organized.
How long is this interview?
Yeah, how long do we got? I'm pretty organized. I like stuff to be cleaned. Yeah. I guess that what could be OCD of mine? That's probably a better question for him. He lives with me. I don't know. I don't have everything facing the same way. I mean,
Okay.
I
Okay.
that.
That's probably a good thing. Yeah.
Picture straightener.
I mean, I do like when a carpet is straight, I mean, I like when paintings on there or pictures on the wall or records on the wall that we have. I like when that stuff's all straight. So
One time I yelled at my kids. I actually said the phrase, "Does anybody know how to use a coaster in this house?" And then I thought, oh my, did I just say that?
all right, so I guess that would be it. I mean, I like stuff. Stuff like that.
All right. Let's go to 66. What is the best Wi-Fi name that you have ever seen?
I like the old pretty fly for a Wi-Fi. I mean, that's good.
Ooh.
I like that.
That's good.
That's
Um,
awesome.
I think my wife, ours at the house is called Underground Koala, and that is her name for it, and it's fucking bizarre, but that was cool.
That is cool.
Yeah, I guess pretty fly for a Wi-Fi was a good one. So
That's
let's
really good.
just
Yeah.
stick with that, because Offspring kicks ass. So.
Number 1. How often do you talk to yourself out loud?
Not often. I do every now and again, maybe, I don't have like I don't know. Not often. Not often enough, I mean, how am I doing? How are we? Who are we?
Check
Not
it out.
often. So I guess it was
Yeah, I'll have to re-randomize these. I think you and Sammy picked the same questions.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Shit,
All
really?
right.
That's great.
666.
For Taylor, number 9. What is your favorite rock and roll souvenir?
Whoa.
Damn.
Wow. That's kind of tough.
He's got Dio's old silk shirt from
I wish.
no, I'm just kidding.
Probably. Well, I don't know about my favorite, but my most important is probably my very first concert was Aerosmith when I was 12, and I got a bandana from the show, and I still have it hung up on my wall, and that was kind of like the moment that my entire universe changed. So that was
Yeah.
I'd say that's probably my most important. favorite.
I have an aside on that topic. All right, so there's a podcast somewhere where it's Steve Jones from the Sex Pistols has a podcast, and he had the guys from the Cult on,
Oh, cool.
and Billy Duffy. They asked him this question, and Billy Duffy talks about Johnny Thunders gave him a guitar pick, and it's this dramatic scene where he goes up to him at a phone booth. Anyway, it's this long scene, right? And then somebody just says to Steve Jones, "Did you know Johnny Thunders?" And he goes, "Yeah, we shared syringes." Destroys Billy Duffy's story. Just
Oh, brutal.
flick of the hand. Yeah.
Nice.
Anyway, yeah,
Yeah.
nice. And he doesn't
Yeah,
even
I
laugh or
didn't hear any
anything.
needles with Steven Tyler. I just
Yeah.
got the souvenir.
That's an answer to that question. Yeah. So anyway,
All right. Number 11. Do you have a favorite smell?
Uh, I like a nice cut grass.
Ooh,
Okay.
me too.
I also like a cup of Juan Pablo black coffee,
Oh,
freshly ground.
It's good.
Nice.
those are good
That's a
answers.
good smell. Vampire's blood, maybe that's a good smell. No, but not on a favorites list. Okay.
Just a nice cold winter eve. The smell of that.
It's very dark throne. Yeah.
Thank
I like that. Yeah.
I'll turn the lights off. We can make it grim and over here.
I should have said it doing this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I when I was in Florida, I had never had Cuban coffee,
Yeah.
and I drink my coffee black, and I just ordered it at this deli, and he says to me, "What do you want in it?" I'm like, "Nothing." He's like, "You don't want anything in it," which gave me the distinct impression I should, but I was like, "No," and then I got it. I was like, "Whoa, all right, I'm seeing colors for days."
Yeah.
Yeah,
Those are good.
we had a Cuban yesterday, actually, Cuban coffee.
Yeah. It's
That was
really
good.
Yeah, I was
And we
like,
had it done up with the milk, cafe con leche, so milk and man, I saw them loading. They're like, "You want real sugar?" And I'm like, "Yep." They're like 1, 2, 3, 4 heaping fucking spoonfuls of sugar. I'm like, "Whoa, could I just get 2?"
It's like
Just
the
2.
fly.
Yeah, I'm like, "Just 2." So she's like, "Yeah." So she poured it out and put the 2 in. I had mine. Broham had the 4. I was like, "How's your coffee?" He's like, "Great." I was like, "Okay, all right."
Very sweet.
all right, last question, number 3. If you were a kind of donut, what kind of donut would you be?
Whoa.
This is a
This
new
is
one.
definitely random.
I told you it was random.
Probably a peanut butter with Heath bar and little chopped up pieces of guitar strings.
Oh wow. Interesting.
Very
Okay.
crunchy.
Yeah, crunchy. Yeah. It started
Nutty
off,
and crunchy.
and then,
Yeah, probably something with Heath bar because I'm a Heath or Score. I'm an old man like that.
Oh, I love
Score. I
Oh,
remember
yeah,
that.
wow.
Yeah.
So
Swedish.
what is coming up next for you guys?
Well, we're currently doing the engineering production for the new Deicide at our studio. So that's kind of taking precedence. We had written one song musically for Inhuman Condition, and we just did that like 3 weeks, 4 weeks ago, something like that. We just I actually woke up saying a lyric. I just woke up randomly in the morning, and I said a line to myself a few different times, and I'm like, where the fuck did that come from? And I was like, wow, we gotta write a song, man. I was like, we gotta write a song. I have to like dump this idea. This has to go. I was like, I'm kind of thinking like, yeah, and I just was air mouthing like a guitar vibe, and then he went to the woodshed, and then gathered a riff or two, and then we just jammed, and then that shifted, grew, and then made a song. So we did a demo version of that, and then I had to fly and play a couple shows over in Europe with Venom, and so we put a big pause on that and got back, and then we started the Deicide production. So that's kind of taken over on all of that, but the
How
long
is
and
it
short.
with Listenable Insanity Records? How is that a lot easier being your own thing?
Oh,
Easier, no. Better, 1000%, yes.
yeah. Yeah,
Very
well,
good.
I was gonna say easier, absolutely, but just because you're your own you're your own boss, you know, you make the decisions, you know. If we're like, hey, do you want to do an EP? And he goes, yeah. And we're like, cool, let's see what Terry thinks. And Terry's almost always like a thumbs up, you know, so and then the label can just put it out. So we don't have to ask anybody. We don't have to wait. We just put the wheels in motion. So that's nice.
I was
it's-
watching the video of them pressing the records in the different colors.
Feel good though that when you just casually say, "Hey, I went and did some dates with Venom and then came back." I mean, that's just got to feel so great to be able to say.
Oh man, it's great. You know, it's really funny because I mean, he plays in Deicide, I play in Venom. So Glenn is he's funny because I also do front of house for Deicide. So we get paid in Satan's blood money or the devil's blood money,
Right.
which is really super true. I mean, when you stop and think about it, it's like, wow, the devil is like paying. And then I'm like, I play in Venom and you play in Deicide. I was like, these are like the most evil bands ever. So, you know, anytime we're like, oh, should I grab should I get an extra of that? Or I was thinking about maybe getting this piece of gear, and it's like, yeah, we got the devil's blood money. So come on, let's you know, feels good to pay, you know, and
It doesn't
Satan.
get any better than that. No,
Yeah.
really doesn't. No.
Yeah, so it's really cool, man. It's over the top. It's beyond words, you know. It's the fucking dream, man. So it's really great. And here we are having a conversation about metal, and we're so far apart yet so connected due to the same thing. It's killer. It's
I
really
can't think of a better way to close a podcast than talking about Venom and Deicide. I mean, it's the best. So yeah.
Well, hopefully you guys will get up. We're from Baltimore, so maybe you guys will get up this way. at
If
some
you do,
point.
Baltimore or Philly, we'll be there. Yeah. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, we're hoping to try and squeeze some dates in next year, probably in the summer.
Yeah.
Just because, you know, Obituary has a new record coming out. Venom just put a record out. Deicide will probably be coming out sometime next year, so it'll be kind of hard to align all the schedules. But I think we have a little gap that we're going to try and squeeze some dates in. So
that's great.
hopefully some East Coast dates, or I guess hopefully anywhere really. I'll play only Dungeons.
Yeah.
Only
We'll play
Dungeons.
only Denver for
Denver
2 weeks.
Dungeons.
Denver Dungeon.
I think I might call the show Only Dungeons. Yeah, I think that
Nice.
would be apt. Yeah. So.
There's actually a bar in Baltimore called Brewer's Art, and they have an upper bar, and the downstairs is called the Dungeon. So maybe y'all could play there.
Yeah.
We'll just find only venues called the Dungeon.
Yeah, only
Like,
Dungeon. Yeah, right.
Be an
No,
all
no.
dungeon.
In
door.
Scandinavia, there's probably tons of them. You know. So,
Yeah.
It's like OnlyFans, except it's you know,
Only Dungeons.
only Dungeon.
Only fans, only Dungeons. Yeah.
Tour
All
the
right, you
band.
guys. Well, thanks so much. This was great. I appreciate you doing it. It was we had a great time.
And spending your Friday night with us.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hey,
thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
And never mind the backdrop. It doesn't matter. So.
Oh well, this is my wife's art studio, so I mean it's pretty sweet.
Oh, I just realized we have fully right side up crosses here.
Yeah.
I'll have
Well-
to crop that out.
You can fix that, right?
Oh yeah. Keep them
You
in.
could, you could invert those in Photoshop or something.
I'll invert.
Yeah,
Yeah. so-
Photoshop. Yeah.
Okay. Sounds of Decay time. You want to kick it off?
All right. So our first Sounds of Decay is Chemicide from Costa Rica. Now they have put out some great albums. 2019 brought us Inequality, and 2022 brings us Common Sense, which I think a lot of us no longer have
No one in your office.
in
has any.
2022.
No. Yeah.
They have 4 full-length EPs, a lot of splits.
For full lengths and other EPs.
Oh, yeah,
too.
yeah.
Yeah.
But they have this trait where they say the song title in the first chorus and then not for the rest of the song. So,
Really? I didn't notice that.
yeah, it's kind of a
I usually don't like this kind of thrash. Like, you know, I rarely find anything that rivals the old stuff. I don't really get into stuff like Lich King or Municipal Waste, but this one has a really cool overkill vibe to it. But I mean, that you need look at this album cover. I mean, you need sunglasses for this album cover. And I had it all queued up to buy the lime green vinyl that apparently does not exist. So guys, you got to get some vinyl out there for this artwork. I
you
mean,
know, the riffs are at breakneck speed, the bass lines are heavy, It's kind of got an 80s vibe. And originally this band was named Conqueror, fun fact.
Yeah, taking over era Overkill, Years of Decay era Overkill. Yeah, if you're into that stuff, definitely check out Chemicide. You want to introduce the song?
All right, let's play a song from Chemicide. This is the title track, Common Sense.
Okay, Sounds of Decay continues. This band is from Finland, and they're called Memoriam. They play a very dissection-inspired melodic black metal.
Yeah, this band has intense high-speed sequences. So I want to say aggression is 80% of this band, and melodicness is like 20%.
It's my favorite this week, really. I can't stop listening to it. There's elements of, like I said, the Swedish dissection style, but there's also more of the traditional Norwegian woven in there as well. The riffs are fantastic. A lot of dissonant hooks. I can't say enough good about it. Maybe we'll get them on the show one of these days. That'd be great. This is the good stuff. Let's play a song. This one is called Mirror Dimension.
All right, this is Decay number 3. Coming at you is Destroyer 666. If you are not familiar with these guys, I don't know what kind of rock you've been living under, but
Why are you watching this if you don't know who Destroyer 666 is? Good God.
this is an Australian extreme metal band. It was formed in 1994 by frontman KK Worslet following his departure
From Bestial Warlust.
from Bestial Warlust. This group originated in Melbourne, Australia, and since 2001, they relocated to Europe.
I don't blame them. They probably wanted to get away from Australia because the biggest, hairiest, most poisonous, everything lives in Australia. You ever noticed that? The biggest
Yeah,
sharks,
yeah.
the most poisonous spiders,
The Outback.
ants that you can ride. I mean, yeah, I wouldn't want to live in a place like that either. Thank God.
Vegemite sandwiches. It's terrible.
There's that. Yeah.
But I think they kind of got blacklisted in Australia for a while because they kind of have, or at least KK has a habit of saying, how do you put this delicately?
He doesn't hold back.
Controversial
He doesn't have a filter.
statements
And
during
some of the stuff he puts out there, you're kind of like, ooh, that took my breath away.
playfully
I interviewed him.
racist.
I interviewed him about 15 years ago, and we started talking about, why they didn't wear corpse paint anymore. And he actually said, I respect King Diamond and everything, but I think top hats are gay. And I was like, okay. So he has not changed his way of expressing himself, and he's not going to. But the album is just about to drop, and let's play a song from it. This band is intense as ever. Go ahead.
Let's play a song. This one's called Guillotine. And if you want a cool accessory, I found guillotine earrings on Etsy.
Every household needs one. Well, it would appear that we're nearing the end already. That's a familiar feeling about it.
We had so much fun with Inhuman Condition.
Yeah, we did.
And thank you guys again.
We
Keep-
talked about creative merch with them.
Oh,
Talked
Inhuman
about
Condition
dungeons
Conditioner, which I think
and
I emailed.
dungeons. Yes.
So much fun, so much great music.
A lot of very interesting
Crosses that should be upside down.
A lot of very interesting car model names we thought of.
Bad Olympic sports, at least in our book.
Yeah.
You know,
And maybe possible sports we could replace them with. Yeah.
like synchronized swimming. I never understood that one either with the little nose things. I don't know. All right. Anyway, we talked about maybe some great Decay bands that we have coming at you and our own recent great metal show we attended personally. So
Right.
looking forward to getting out and seeing more. Maryland Death Fest is back. It's official, despite the fact, the rumors that it might not go on.
Don't believe
It
him.
is.
It
So
always comes back.
get all our bands over here. Maybe we'll see Human Condition there this year.
That'd be great.
And don't forget the darkness of Test of the D'Urbervilles if none of the rest of this has scared you. That's very scary stuff. This has been the Snaggletooth Decay Extreme Music Podcast. Special thanks to the guys from Inhuman Condition for appearing on the show and making such great music as well as awesome artwork. The Snaggletooth theme is courtesy of Gustav Jord of Defleshed, also out there with Grind Over Matter, brand spanking new. Sounds of Decay theme courtesy of Lair of the Minotaur. Sounds of Decay bands include Chemicide, Memoriam, and Destroyer 666. All content 2022, the Snaggletooth Decay Extreme Music Podcast.
It's a major award.
This is the Snaggletooth Extreme Metal Podcast.